Ladies and gentlemen, seekers of light and secret knowledge wherever you may be, you are listening to Points of Light Radio, the podcast dedicated to taking you past the apron and behind the closed doors of lodges everywhere. And here is your host, Stan Miller.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. Shalom. Assalamu alaikum. I'm excited to be back with you here on Points of Light Radio because we're going to be going into some different doors today, shall we say, taking a different path, call it what you want. And we will be studying some defunct fraternal organizations and asking ourselves a few questions as we go along. If you recall, on the March 11th, 2023 segment of Points of Light Radio, we investigated the Knights of the Maccabees, which was a defunct organization. And we fellowshipped with our friend, Sir Knight Aaron Rasmussen Bates, and he discussed his efforts to resurrect the Knights of the Maccabees. And it really put me onto this thought process. How do these organizations, these wonderful, in some cases, once vibrant organizations, become defunct? During the course of my preparations for this segment, I studied a number of different fraternal orders that have come and gone, or in some cases morphed as well as amalgamated into different organizations. And, I've chosen two particular defunct fraternal orders, and those are the Sons of Malta and the Knights of the Golden Eagle, right? I can't wait to get started today. So, are you still thirsty for knowledge? Are you still searching for the light? And let's trim your lamp and follow me. The first defunct fraternal order that we will be shedding some light on are the Sons of Malta. Now, most people involved in fraternalism at any of the deeper levels will be familiar with the Knights of Malta, particularly Freemasonry. They would be quite familiar with the Knights of Malta. And in fact, on the November 25th, 2022 segment of Points of Light Radio, we shed some light on the Protestant Knights of Malta. Now, that's a little known part of the Knights of Malta there. And in fact, I'm quite proud to say that many of my friends in the loyal orders were unaware of the existence of the Protestant Knights of Malta. And like I said, I encourage you to go back and have a look at that segment. That was rather interesting, right? But who were the sons, back on track here, who were the Sons of Malta? Well, let's investigate. The exact origins of the Sons of Malta have been debated. However, the Independent Order of the Sons of Malta, which was their full title, are believed to have started in St. Louis, Missouri in 1855. The Hopkins Lodge number 6 of the Independent Order of the Sons of Malta was incorporated in St. Louis, Missouri on December 13th, 1855, and they're believed to have been the very first lodge. Now here's the amazing part of it. The first Grand Assembly of the Sons of Malta was held in Baltimore, Maryland in 1858, and they were large enough at that point that they had over 700 delegates in attendance from across the United States. That's incredible. The growth was, to have that many people attend something like that only 2 years after you start up your organization, that growth must have been explosive. Now, the Sons of Malta were noted for their charitable work. And there are numerous newspaper accounts of their charitable work. In fact, especially noted was the assistance provided by the Ingomar Lodge number 1 of Memphis, Tennessee, for the care of the survivors of the wreck of the steamboat St. Nicholas on April 1859. the Sons of Malta worked with a 3-degree structure. What is it about those 3-degree structures that so many of those organizations, run with? I mean, why is it they all seem to, work a 3-degree structure? I mean, I want your feedback on that. Where did that come from? Who do you think did that, right? Who do you think was behind that, right? Now, in regards to the degree and initiation work of the Sons of Malta, in late 1859, the Zanesville Aurora newspaper of Zanesville, Ohio, published an account of the Sons of Malta's initiation entitled "The Sons of Malta, Grand Disclosures of the Ceremonies and Mysteries of the Wonderful Order. Fun and more fun." Right? Interesting. Now, were they fun? Well, you be the judge. Right? I've managed to obtain some pictures of their initiation, some of their ritual work, and does any of this look familiar to you? Anything you're seeing here look familiar? If you're involved in fraternalism, especially the ones who do a lot of, shall we say, esoteric type ritual and degree work, I mean, I can tell you right now from my experience, I mean, I can't say that it was exactly some of this things I've experienced and seen in fraternalism have been exactly this way, but this is very familiar what they're doing here, some of it, right? And of course, now they were also secret enough that here's a picture of their grip, right? But yeah, anybody who's involved in fraternalism, I can tell you right now, especially like I said, the ones who are doing a lot of more esoteric work and secretive rituals and stuff. Yeah, that's some of that's very, very familiar, right? Now, further to their ritual and degree work, in January and February of 1860, Frank Leslie's New York Illustrated Weekly ran a series of articles condemning the Sons of Malta as an organization encouraging of many things, immorality, and published a detailed account of their initiation. Now, this is generally considered to have dealt a real fatal blow to the Sons of Malta. Another cause claimed for the organization's decline was the paralysis and eventual death of a gentleman named George Harding. This was the result of his initiatory hazing at the Lafayette, Indiana Lodge. His injuries and death were the death knell of the Sons of Malta, not only in Lafayette, but probably throughout other parts of the United States. The Eastern Pennsylvania Minnehaha Lodge, founded in 1857, was the final lodge in existence when it closed in 1903. Now, I've only encapsulated here. There was probably a lot more to this organization than you see. Some things I take away are, first of all, the growth was explosive with the Sons of Malta. They're what would have led to probably a lot of hard work went into building this organization up to where it finally arrived at, but also what would have led, we understand there were a few things that probably led to the decline of the Sons of Malta, but what really would have led to this, to their decline and eventual demise? Well, part of it, like I said, was definitely someone exposed some of the degrees and rituals, and I will take the time here to say that I'm not saying I've seen some of this. It's interesting, like what was behind. one of the questions I would have is, why is there so many, like some of it's very familiar, the idea of blindfolding uh, initiates and things like that before bringing them in. But here again, you saw the pictures here. Now they're not they're not photographs, but they are pictures. Now somebody, let's be blunt, somebody, a member or a former member, probably a disgruntled former member, must have gone and spent some time with a reporter, probably a sketch artist or something, and somehow divulged that type of, they had to have sat there for quite a while with them to have gone to have those kinds of they're very detailed pictures. Let's be blunt, very detailed drawings, right? So they must have done that. And I will say this: there's a reason why these types of rituals are supposed to remain secret. It's because, like you saw, that divulging their rituals, was really a death blow to them. It really was. It was a fatal blow, or one of several. But yeah, definitely it contributed to their demise, because most people who are not involved in fraternalism don't understand those rituals. Will never. It will scare them, and I can say this as someone who's been through some, shall we say, similar rituals. It would scare you to see it, but in all honesty, if you understand the esoteric value of that, the full meaning of that, it doesn't scare you. You understand it. You do, right? And I will. Right, I put it this way: you promise to keep these things a secret when you join. Okay? You were given this knowledge and these secrets, right? Whether you stay or you leave, those secrets, even if you leave, those secrets are supposed to come with you and stay with you. And like I said, it's because most people don't understand what you're talking about, right? And the secret should stay with you. You should never, ever, ever, right, divulge them. And there's a good reason for that, like I said, right? But enough said on the Sons of Malta. Do you honestly think, in your heart of hearts, what do you think led to their demise? And as well, do you think the Sons of Malta are worth reviving? If you think so, let me know, right? But it's time to move on. So check your lamps, folks, and trim them if you need to, and follow me. The second and final organization we'll be covering here on this segment is the Knights of the Golden Eagle. The Knights of the Golden Eagle were a secret society founded by John Emery in Burbage in Baltimore, Maryland in 1873. The Knights of the Golden Eagle were founded with the following objectives: cultivating the social, moral, and intellectual feelings of its members, promoting their welfare in all walks of life, providing kindness and relief against the trials and distress attendant upon death and sickness. They also endeavored to aid the members of the order who were out of work, as well as provide for the widows and orphans of deceased members. Membership was open to males over 18 without any physical or mental handicaps. There was a female auxiliary called the Ladies of the Golden Eagle. There was also a junior military branch in existence, and it was composed of youths from the ages of 12 to 18. Now, the Knights of the Golden Eagle ritual worked a 3-degree structure based on the history of the Crusades. What is it about those 3 degrees? These organizations that run those 3 degrees, where did that come from, running a 3-degree structure? But the first degree was the Pilgrim's degree, also known as the Chain degree. The second degree was the knight's degree, and the third degree was the crusader's degree. The first degree accented the pilgrim and taught the candidate fidelity to God and man. The second degree, or knight's degree, used the medieval knight as its role model to teach the member to revere religion, fidelity, valor, charity, courtesy, and hospitality. The third, or crusader's degree, was based on the figure of the crusader, and it equipped the member against the evil of his enemies. Members of the Ladies of the Golden Eagle took one degree, and that was called the Temple degree, upon being initiated. All oaths were sworn on an open Bible. Knights of the Golden Eagle lodges were called castles. Their statewide structure were called grand castles, right? What we would call a Grand Lodge. And the overall group, or the Grand Lodge, was called the Supreme Castle. In the 1920s, the Knights of the Golden Eagle were headquartered in Philadelphia. The last known headquarters of the group was North Wales, Pennsylvania. Now, an unhappy chapter in the Knights of the Golden Eagle's history was its association with the assassination of President William McKinley on September 6, 1901, by a member of the Knights of the Golden Eagle named, and I hope I get his name right, Leon Czolgosz. Mr. Czolgosz acted on his beliefs as an anarchist in a manner repugnant to the tenets and teachings of the Knights of the Golden Eagle, right? And I'm sure that the assassination didn't help. The Norway attacks in 2011 by Anders Breivik, he was known to belong to the Freemasons. It didn't hurt the Masonic Lodge in any way. In fact, they expelled them straight away, which is the best thing lodges should do, is to disassociate themselves with these kind of people. But, perhaps that particular time, right, 1901, that was probably a time of anti-fraternal fervor. I mean, that's what I would say about that. But by the early 1920s, the Knights of the Golden Eagle had 73,340 members in 26 states. Membership began to decline in the 1930s, and that's kind of shocking. You would think that by the 19th, and especially in the dirty 30s, the Great Depression, that a group like this would thrive, because with its principles, you would think that it would be something that was needed at the time. In 1965, the Knights of the Golden Eagle were down to 15,000 members, mostly concentrated in Pennsylvania. By the late 1970s, the Knights of the Golden Eagles had pretty much ceased to exist. Now, I want to point this out. There is an organization called the New Knights of the Golden Eagle, and I've included their link in the details section of this particular segment. And I tried to reach out to them without success. I'm not sure if they're still working the rituals and degree work of the original Knights of the Golden Eagle. But like I said, I'm including the link to their website in this particular segment, because they claim to be associated with the old Knights of the Golden Eagle. And if you visit their site, you can download a free ebook that details the history of the original Knights of the Golden Eagle. And I want to point that out. So I would hope that they were running some of the ritual work of the original Knights of the Golden Eagle, wouldn't you? How do you feel about this organization? Right? I personally, would you be interested in being involved in this organization? Do you think that some of the ritual work is worth preserving? As I keep saying to you, let me know. But it's time to move on. Well, there you have it, brothers and sisters. Two different fraternal organizations, right? That have, well, one seems to be kind of resurging. Are they using the esoteric work in the Knights of the Golden Eagle today? I'm not sure. I couldn't get hold of them to ask, like I said, but I think some questions were answered there as to what happened to these organizations. I will say there is a warning there for the different fraternal orders that you see in today's world. We keep ourselves relevant, or we die. It's as organizations. We have to really look at how the membership. I really believe it's up to the membership to keep these organizations alive. I really do. I don't think we can entirely blame societal changes, but let's take a look at that. Like, what was going on between 1850 and 1900 that led to so many lodges being formed? If you recall, in some earlier segments of Points of Light Radio, I talked about how the Knights of Pythias was formed in 1864. The Sons of Malta were formed in 1855. Okay, what was going on at that time that led to this? And many of them, let's face it, were Freemasons. You could see definitely the Knights of Pythias, we know, was started by Justice Rothbone. But some of the other organizations I've covered on this podcast as well were started by Freemasons or members who were involved in various different organizations, but there was definitely some Masonic influence in, for instance, the Knights of the Golden Horn, Guild Companions of the Ark, and things like that. Some of the members who've appeared on this podcast have talked about that, where they can even see that, right? But what was it about that time? Like I said, between 1855 or 1850 and 1900, what was making them? Was that the, shall we say, the heyday of fraternalism, right? Or at least the tail end of the heyday? It's quite possible. Of course, in 1920 they begin to disappear. Why? Well, why is that? Personally, I think some of it was improved forms of travel, such as the motor car and things like that. Right. Also, the beginning of the, shall we say, the true beginning of varying different forms of entertainment, such as radios and record players, movie theaters, Nickelodeons, things like that. Of course, later on, you would see the television as well become much more, have by the 1950s, when you see these organizations really begin to peter out, television's playing a much larger role, right? But what do you think? Okay. I want to hear from you. I really do on this. I want to know, first of all, I'll give you some homework here. What contributed to the demise of these organizations, right? And is it possible to bring these two organizations that we discussed today back to life? I want to hear from you. Is it possible? How could we do it? Are you interested in doing it? Then you have to get in touch with me, right? But that's all I have time for today, brothers and sisters. But before I go, I want to remind you that this podcast is available on both YouTube and Spreaker. Please share, like, and subscribe when viewing Points of Light Radio on YouTube. I also welcome your comments and input. You can follow Points of Light Radio on my Facebook page at facebook.com/Points of Light Radio. My Twitter handle is at PO Light Radio. You can see the link to my Spotify channel, as well as my Points of Light Radio store. Brothers and sisters, I'm sorry to part with you, but until we meet again, just step into the light.